we're talking about network infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
So we're saying that because these are terms that we would use in class and terms that they would use at interviews. So they are very fundamental. If you don't understand this, then we cannot communicate. So we already have an idea what a network is. So anytime we're talking about network, we know what we're talking about. So I will try to explain when they say network infrastructure, they are talking about the physical components. Infrastructure has to, well, not always physical, but for now, the physical devices and components and systems that make up your network. Your servers, your computers, your cables, your switches, your routers, everything working together is referred to as your network infrastructure, including the software, the Windows that you to make that network work. They are part of the things, part of the infrastructure that must be in place for your app to run. Now, so you have an idea what network infrastructure is. So if I say, Chris, give me a component of network infrastructure. If I say network infrastructure, what do I mean? Just mention one thing that will be part of the entire network. Servers. Yeah, that was for Chris. So Chris has answered. All right. Servers obviously will be a vital network infrastructure. So when all these infrastructures, your servers, your computers, your networks, and everything are resident within that bank that we mentioned earlier, or resident within Glow office, or resident within MTN office, and you see them physically there, then compared to okay, let me put it this way. One form that network infrastructure take is to have them physically present in your premise. Another form is to have them located somewhere you do not know. So your servers, your cables, your switches, your routers, cables are not actually part. I'm just mentioning cables. The real core server network infrastructure will be servers, switches, and routers. Okay. So when physically located, that is when they are actually called your enterprise infrastructure. But when they are located somewhere where you do not see them, you do not even know where they are, yet they are performing their roles. You want access to server, you telnet from your laptop or from your system, like you will be doing later. It's from somewhere. So it is possible to have your network infrastructure in physical form within your premise. That is one way. Another way is to have your network infrastructure not in physical form, not within your premise, owned by somebody else, located somewhere else, but you still have access to your servers, to your switches, to your routers. You can still add computers, remove computers, determine who has access to what, and so on and so forth. When those physical infrastructure, they are not in your premise, they are somewhere else, that is what we call cloud. That is what we call cloud. So cloud simply means that, yes, you do have a network. In cloud, your servers are not yours. They are leased from somebody else. Your switches, your routers, they are not yours. But for an enterprise network, these devices are yours. You needed to go to Computer Village, buy them, set them up, and they are within your premise. Do you get the difference? Now, yes. Occasionally, in this course, we'll refer to enterprise infrastructure. That is, we'll refer to cases where you physically have the switches, you physically have the router. But most of the time, 90% of the time, we'll be referring to networks that is not enterprise infrastructure, but cloud. In other words, you have access to servers, you have access to routers, you can configure and do whatever you want as if they were locally resident in your premise, but they are not yours. They are leased from a cloud provider like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and so on and so forth. Of the many cloud providers, these are the three popular ones in that order. So anytime we're talking about cloud providers, we'll refer to these three people, these three companies. Amazon. The cloud services of Amazon is called AWS, Amazon Web Services. The next would be Microsoft. The cloud services of Microsoft is referred to as Microsoft Azure. And then the next is Google. The cloud services provided by Google is referred to as Google Cloud. Again, most of the time, when I refer to AWS, I'm simply saying cloud as provided by Amazon. But Amazon is not the only cloud provider. So when your servers, your switches, your routers, your private networks, your public networks, everything relating to networking is provided by Amazon, for example, then you say you are in cloud. So I'm training you to, first of all, become an enterprise person, In other words, you know what a switch is, how to use it, what a router is, how to use it, what a server is, how to create one, configure one, administer one. And then once you are familiar with all of this, I'll now take you to cloud and show you everything you already know, everything I already taught you that you can do within enterprise. This is how to do it in cloud. At that point, you can now say, yes, I'm a cloud professional. I don't want to say an engineer at this time because there are different specializations. Now you will see that cloud is so wide, so many resources, thousands of tools that you can use to come up with something new, or in fact, there's so much to do in cloud. So we're not going straight to cloud. We are first of all going to start with your laptop and then show you basic things that you can do that you would ultimately take to cloud and then learn more in cloud, depending on what cloud service you are looking at. The names, the nomenclature, that is the different names that they are called, vary from provider to provider, but essentially it's the same thing. Whether one person calls it the E2, another person calls it Z1, the function is basically the same. So once you know the function is the same, irrespective of what they are called. Right. So now you know what a network is, you know what infrastructure is, you know the difference between small office, home office, and enterprise network, and then you have an idea what cloud is. Now, there's another term called virtualization, and virtualization is what you are going to be doing. You do have a laptop, right?
Yes.
That laptop in front of you, all right, so you need at least 2, 3, you need multiple computers. In my case, I can have up to 8 computers running concurrently. You need multiple computers to run on your laptop to be able to practice the things that you'll be learning. You are going to create one computer, another computer, join them together in a domain, configure this, everything you should be doing in the real world, you are going to first of all do it on your laptop. To make that possible, we are going to do what is called virtualization on your laptop. With virtualization, that's your physical machine, that's your laptop. Okay, we're beginning to use the right term. So for virtualization, we're going to call your laptop physical machine or host. Within that physical machine, within that host, we are going to install a software that will make it possible for us to create as many virtual machines as your resources can take. So that even though you have one laptop, you can ultimately have as many as, in fact, let's be modest, at least 2 virtual machines inside your physical machine. So you make one the server and you make the other one the client. And then when I teach you and I do, you also can practice. So this concept is not just a lab concept. It's not just like you are in the lab and you are experimenting. No, that's another big picture you must have at the back of. This is the real world. This is what is happening practically in the real world. So the concept of virtualization is real. So whatever you do, you can go out and claim that you now know it because you have done it. If you have done it the way it is done.